Good morning, friends, and welcome to New Garden Friends meeting. The reading I have to share with you all this morning is by Mary Oliver. It's a poem entitled, I Happen to Be Standing. I Happen to Be Standing by Mary Oliver. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. Do cats pray while they sleep, half asleep in the sun? Does the opossum pray as it crosses the street? The sunflowers? The old black oak growing older every year? I know I can walk through the world, along the shore or under the trees, with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance, a condition I can't really call being alive. Is a prayer a gift or a petition? Or does it matter? The sunflowers blaze. Maybe that's their way. Maybe the cats are sound asleep. Maybe not. While I was thinking this, I happened to be standing just outside my door with my notebook open, which is the way I begin every morning. Then a wren in the privet began to sing. He was positively drenched in enthusiasm. I don't know why, and yet why not? I wouldn't persuade you from whatever you believe or whatever you don't. That's your business. But I thought of the wren singing. What could this be if it isn't a prayer? So I just listened, my pen in the air. I set the calendar for New Garden Friends meeting, our worship calendar for the fall, quite a while ago. What feels now like a lifetime ago. And I set this Sunday as our homecoming Sunday, without fully realizing that it would come just after the election. And then, of course, with the pandemic, we cannot celebrate homecoming as we usually do here at New Garden Friends meeting. Everything is different this year in 2020. But still, this week, I have been thinking about home. But before I tell you all my thoughts about homes and homemaking and how they are tied to the election and the intense stress that we have all been under in the last week, and the great mix of emotions that so many of us are feeling this first day. Before I talk about all of that, I want to say just a few words about home. For some, the word home brings up images of love and care, safety and sanctuary. But for others, for those who have experienced sorrow or suffering or pain or fear in places called home, that word can be a difficult one. So in this message, instead of just talking about homes, I also talk about heart spaces, those places where we feel accepted, loved, and nurtured, challenged, and supported to be the best that we can be. Places of comfort and security, yes, but also places of growth and integrity. Heart spaces. It's a little bit funny to me how our heart spaces become associated with foods. I know this is true for me, and I think it might be true for many of you. Maybe it's sugar cream pie, or maybe it's a Philly cheesesteak, or biscuits and gravy, or persimmon pudding. In my case, it's a fresh, warm bagel with about an inch of cream cheese and the taste of Empire apples. I made applesauce using my mother's recipe on Tuesday of this week. I made it in my crock pot and it cooked for the whole day. And on Wednesday, while I was watching the election news, I ate some of it warm, and it tasted like my heart space, like the beat of who I am and the roots that ground me in the world. Heart spaces are just that powerful. They make food into something sacred. They call us back into ourselves, not just who we are now, but also who we can be in the future. They can be the roots that ground us as we reach up towards the sky. I was thinking this week about the sacred communion of our shared meals at New Garden Friends meeting, about the macaroni and cheese and the deviled eggs and the pies at Carrion Meal, about the cookies and the delicious coffee in the morning during coffee fellowship. We Quakers may not serve communion with the elements of bread and wine, but the food of our heart space, your meeting, and the act of eating that food together is a sacred one. Heart spaces give us another gift. Not only do they comfort us and remind us of the best of what we can be and who we can be, but heart spaces also teach us how to be with others. See, homes are not usually places that we occupy alone. They're spaces that, in my case, are filled with brothers. I have 3 brothers, all of whom like to tease me about how I just don't know when to quit, which is fair. These spaces, they teach us about community, about wholeness and how to be with each other. In order for heart spaces to continue to be heart spaces, we have to learn how to be with each other in a way that is loving and merciful. They are spaces that require us to listen, to learn, to bend, so we can keep being in rhythm with community. They teach us the dance of shared living, one that we do always imperfectly. Someone's toes will always get stepped on some of the time, but a dance that is sacred nonetheless. At New Garden, I see us do this dance all the time during committee meetings when friends disagree or misunderstand each other, during monthly meeting for business as we strive together toward unity that is brought by the divine and by being respectful of one another. It's hard because people are often frustrating and difficult. It's messy because all of humanity, we're basically a big mess of bones and muscles and lots of feelings. So many feelings. But that process of being in community together, it is glorious and humanizing. It teaches us and teaches us again about the best of humanity, how we have the capability to be cooperative and interdependent. Sometimes, as I am preparing my message for First Days, a passage or a poem will speak to me, and I won't actually know why or how it is going to fit in with the message that I will bring. This was one of those weeks. I waited as long as I could before I started putting words down on paper, because a lot changed from Tuesday to Wednesday, or from Thursday to Saturday. All through the week, the words of this Mary Oliver poem hung in my mind. Words about prayer being part of how we breathe, how we live, how we move together in the world. This poem is about how prayer is as natural and instinctual to us as sleeping in the sun is to a cat, or singing is to a bird. And all through this week, I turned that idea over in my mind and held it in my heart. And I thought about New Garden Friends meeting, and about the homes or heart spaces in my life. And I realized that this is the center of the power of who we are as a faith community. New Garden Friends meeting can be a heart space. We can be a home for many, or perhaps if we are being the best that we can be a home for all. We are a place that can be filled with acceptance, a place where we can be welcomed and loved. And thanks to that powerful act of welcome, we are a space that allows us to breathe and sing and be in prayer together. We stand together, friends, a warm, loving body, all of us together, whether we are happily sitting on our benches or laughing together on the grass under the trees, or Zooming and Facebooking together on first day mornings, whether we are eating together in our fellowship hall, we stand side by side. In that act, we are praying. We call each other to work on our issues and to address our privilege and to be our best selves. And that act is a prayer for a world with more integrity. We welcome each other, no matter age or race or sexual orientation or gender or abilities. And that welcome is a prayer for a world where human dignity is cherished and uplifted. We laugh together, and that is a prayer for a world that honors rest as well as work. We work in our community outside of New Garden, and we protest in the streets together, and that is a prayer for a world that is more peaceful and merciful. We sing together. And it's a prayer for a world that cherishes art and the creativity of the human spirit. Most importantly, we hold silence together. And in doing so, we are a prayer that God's kingdom will come. And justice will roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. So now in this moment, as many of us are celebrating the new possibilities that a new administration will bring to our country, now in this moment, even with some new small hope, many of us feel uncertain. Now, in this moment, when we have been through the strain and stress of over 8 months of a global pandemic, and the strain of the last week, where we all aged a decade at least. Now, in this moment, with all of that, with that fear and that hope and that uncertainty and that joy and that exhaustion and that worry and that tumult, now in this moment, I want to call you back home. Back to our heart space. Back to who we are together. Back to being the prayer that we weave as one body. Because the prayer we create together as a community is an endless song that carries on no matter who is in the White House, no matter what the pandemic might bring in the months to come, no matter what other unprecedented moments we may face, both good and bad. That prayer that we hold together, the prayer of the home that we have built together here at New Garden Friends Meeting. That prayer is calling us forward into the work of justice and mercy and love. Today, in this moment of fragile hope, of uncertainty, come back home, friends. There is a place for you here. Although we are apart in body, we are still and always will be together. Welcome home to New Garden Friends Meeting. Welcome to our heart space. We are here for each other. We are prayer together. A prayer that can face any uncertain moment to come. You are not alone. Welcome home.